Thank you all. Please be seated. Thank you all for coming. Welcome to the White House. And thanks for the work that most of you do on behalf of protecting this country's children. Because children are so vulnerable, they need the constant protection of adults. And because children are so vulnerable, they're often the targets of cruel and ruthless criminals. I am deeply saddened by the recent tragedy that we've seen here in Washington. There is a ruthless person on the loose. I've ordered the full resources of the federal government to help local law enforcement officials in their efforts to capture this person. Laura and I join our fellow Americans in prayer as we pray for the families and friends who've lost loved ones, as we pray for the safety of our fellow citizens, as we pray for the quick end to this period of violence and fear. Protecting children from sexual exploitation is also a priority. It needs to be a priority and is a priority of this country. Earlier this month, I convened the first ever White House conference on missing, exploited, and runaway children. And those efforts continue today. I've just met with law enforcement representatives from the federal, state, and local level from several states who spend their time tracking down and prosecuting online predators. These officials are impressive people. They're the best of America. They're doing difficult and disturbing and essential work, and I thank them for coming here today. Our nation has made this commitment. online. Seems like a simple parental responsibility. Mothers and dads all across America need to do their job and make it clear to their children there can be danger by providing personal information. Don't share any passwords. It's a logical thing for a mom or a dad to do. Tell their children not to share a password with a total stranger. Don't agree to meet with somebody they've never met. Don't agree to meet with somebody that chats them up on the internet unless the mom or dad is with them. Parents should keep computers in a central location and check up on what their kids are doing. They ought to not ignore what their children are doing. They ought to pay attention to their children. They have a responsibility. A mother or dad ought to pay just as much attention to their child when they're on the internet as if they're on the playground or walking in the mall. Parents have the first and foremost responsibility. Yet we as a society share this duty as well. And that's what we were talking about today. Parents need allies in the upbringing of their children. Our nation should make the essential work of mothers and fathers easier, not harder. Our government at every level must take the side of responsible parents, and we will. We're waging an aggressive nationwide effort to prevent the use of the internet to sexually exploit and endanger children. That's what we're doing. I want to share some of that with you today. Through an FBI program called Innocent Images, we identify, we investigate, and we prosecute sexual predators across the country. FBI agents are obtaining evidence of criminal internet activity by conducting undercover operations, using fictitious screen names, and entering into online chat rooms. I had the honor of listening to one such FBI agent today. She was telling us what it's like to deal with these sick minds. Interesting, afterwards I said, it must be tough to do the job you do. She says, I've got 2 children. I don't want it to ever happen to any child. And I appreciate your dedication. Innocent Images prosecutions increased by more than 50% over the last 2 years. We're making progress. Just like we're hunting the terrorists down one at a time, we're hunting these predators down one at a time too. Based on the progress, I'm pleased to announce that we will expand this program and significantly increase the funding in the next fiscal year. We will also seek to almost double funding for the Internet Crimes Against Children task forces from $6.5 million in fiscal year 2002 to $12.5 million in fiscal 2003. These task forces help state and local authorities enforce laws against child pornography and exploitation. Since 1998, the task forces have helped train more than 1,500 prosecutors and 1,900 investigators. They've served 700 search warrants and 1,400 subpoenas. The task forces have provided direct investigative assistance in more than 3,000 cases. They've arrested more than 1,400 suspects. These task forces are a great success. They're a great success because we've got a lot of good people working on these projects. A lot of dedicated Americans whose stomach turn when they realize what's happening to our children. Great Americans who decided to do something about it. This additional funding I've announced means that we'll increase the number of regional task forces up to 40 around the country. Our efforts to fight internet exploitation of children extend throughout this government, throughout all levels of government. The U.S. Postal Inspection Service provides an important role in tracking sexual predators because child pornographers often use the mail to purchase obscene materials off the internet. In Operation Avalanche, postal inspectors created an undercover website which they used to bring down what is believed to be the largest commercial child pornography enterprise ever encountered by law enforcement authorities in the United States. It started in Texas. It ended in Texas because of the hard work of the postal inspectors, the good work of prosecutors, and the sentencing of one tough federal judge. The Customs Service is conducting Operation Hamlet, which earlier this year dismantled an international ring of child molesters, an international ring of sick minds. Acting on a tip from European authorities, customs officers tracked down child molesters in the United States, many of whom were molesting their own children and distributing the images of these children on the internet. Authorities have identified 25 individuals involved in this ring, 14 of whom were Americans. Through Operation Hamlet, 65 children have been rescued. We're taking aggressive steps to protect children from exploitation and victimization, and the United States Congress can help by passing the Child Obscenity and Pornography Prevention Act. The House has passed this important bill, and I want to thank them for their good work. The House passed a bill which makes it illegal for child pornographers to disseminate obscene computer-generated images of children. It's an important piece of legislation. The Senate needs to act soon. The Senate needs to get moving and join the House in providing our prosecutors with the tools necessary to help shut down this obscenity, these crimes against children. When a child's life or innocence is taken, a grave and unforgivable act has occurred. A parent's worst nightmare has come real. The people in this room are on the front lines of a great struggle, determined to see that no parent is forced to live through a nightmare. I'm tremendously grateful for the good works. I want to thank you all for being true patriots. I want you to know at the federal level we're joining in the fight. We'll go after them one person at a time to make America a promising place for everybody who lives here. May God bless your work, and may God bless America. Thank you all.